Hi everyone, my name is Shay and I'm a real estate agent. Today I'm going to be doing a video on the economic climate. And where better to do it than at the Toronto Financial District at 320 Bay Street. This is an iconic heritage building that was built in 1931. As we're going through this economic uncertainty, I thought it was best to get perspective and insight from someone who's been in the financial industry for many years, a CFO for B+H Global Architects, and someone I look up to and admire throughout my life, my mom, Taz. Welcome, Taz.
Thank you, Shay.
This is such an honor and thank you for being here today.
Thank you for allowing me to do this segment with you and to share my knowledge with you.
I appreciate that. So we have a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions and concerns. So let's get into it. Can I ask, and can we talk about the R word? How has that impacted you and what are your thoughts on the global recession?
Let's take a step back. Before we go into discussing recession, I want to bring you up to speed on a lot of other factors that come into play. So as you know, with the architecture industry, we're typically at the leading edge of the financial KPIs. And many of you are feeling the pinch, as we all are, that everything is more costly. Things are expensive, groceries are expensive, gas, energy, cost of living is all increasing. So with that, we need to go through a couple of steps before we talk about recession. One word being inflation.
Yes, those are all very good points. I'm sure we can all agree that things are much more expensive, groceries, gas. So what is inflation?
So inflation is typically when the cost of money no longer can buy what it used to. When you used to take $1 and buy something, now that dollar can't buy the same things you used to buy before. Your cost of living is gone up, right? So that is really inflation because the cost of money is gone higher. And we're finding that because of inflation, many people are struggling. Let's take a step back as to why inflation is going up. When there's a higher demand for goods, people will pay more for it. So, when you go to a grocery store, and there's a scarcity of a certain item, you will pay a lot more to get it. This has resulted in people paying more for things that usually they wouldn't. And that results in a higher inflation.
Okay, this all makes sense and is very helpful. I myself didn't know the exact terms and meaning behind it. Why is inflation high?
The cost of raw materials has gone up. There's a higher price we're paying for raw materials. Gas has gone up, so travel costs and freight costs are high. And this is all a result of what's going on around the world. Remember, we're just coming out of a pandemic. There's a shortage of things that were produced. China's just as recent as July and August come out of lockdown. So, with limited production coming from China, there's a limited supply. So there's a bigger demand. In terms of energy prices and gas prices, the war in Europe has a huge impact to what's going on around the world. And also, there's strategic alliances with different geopolitical countries. Let's use China and Russia as an example. That has also impacted the way people are buying, right? And because there's a demand for certain products, people are paying more. And there's a shortage of products, people are paying more.
So what is the actual relationship between interest and inflation, if we were to discuss that?
When inflation is high, people will limit how much they're spending because they can't really afford to buy things. You're going to watch your spend because you can't spend as freely. What happens is the economy suffers. The Federal Reserve banks decide we're going to increase interest because we need to limit how much people are actually spending. We need to correct the market. Remember, there's a huge demand for certain things. There's limited supply. You're paying a lot more. By increasing interest, you're limiting how much people can spend. Let's look at the average person. All of us have mortgages. Everyone has a car that you're paying. Everyone has debt. If interest is high, you have these payments to make. You're going to limit your spend, which means there's going to be less demand for other things. And that corrects your inflation. We've seen in the past few months, interest has continuously been increased. And that is to kind of manage our inflation. So it's purposefully done to ensure inflation remains at a value that is not overwhelming for people.
How long can this process take, or how long will a process like this take?
Shabana, if I had a crystal ball, I'm not a fortune teller, but there are indicators. New York Times had said that we are already in a recession. Yesterday, there was an announcement by Deloitte, actually, that said, we may be going through a mild recession in Canada, probably a 6-month recession. We're thinking maybe 6 months if we're lucky, 6 months to a year, and it may be a softer recession than most of us thought, and we don't really know.
So we don't really know if we're in a recession right now, or would you say we are? Are they indicating markers that let you know that you are in a recession?
Usually when you have your GDP, which is your gross domestic products, in 2 quarters in a row negative in any country, then you typically are in a recession. We're not seeing that yet. So we're not quite sure whether we are in a recession or not. There are some indicators that we are, but we don't believe that we're in a full recession yet.
So as a person for myself or anyone else, what are some tips that we could do to help be cautious with spending, and how will this impact our personal lives right now?
So understand these are challenging times for many businesses. So as from a business point, I would say most companies are being cautious. They're limiting their spend. They're not, unnecessary spend, I would say. Non-essential spend, they're limiting. You may have some companies that may decide to do restructure. They may have headcount reductions. For the normal person, I would say everybody take heed to the signs. Be wise. Make sure that you have some money as an emergency fund. You could lose your job. Be cautious with your spend. So try not to spend unnecessarily because you have got higher interest rates. And just take note, you could be without a job, so update your resume. If you want, take a course, upgrade your skills, because if you need to go out and look for a job, at least you've upgraded your skills. And just keep yourself informed.
I think those are some really great tips. One, keeping yourself informed, and as well as also with spending, there's always 2 boxes I like to look at. What I really want versus what I really need. And you'll find what you really want is much higher than what you actually need, especially when you're online shopping, right? Which we're all guilty of doing.
Yes.
Curbing those little few things will make a huge difference. So let's talk about positive impact on the recession. What can we bring out or say that's positive about a recession?
So I would say for someone in your field, it actually is going through a recession is not bad, right? Because what it does is your interest rates are high. So not everybody is going to go and buy homes, which means there's less of a demand. This will correct the market price. And people who can afford to buy homes will be able to. It becomes a buyer's market.
Right.
You're probably seeing right now that the markets of certain homes have dropped since earlier this year, which means the markets are correcting. The prices in the markets are correcting.
Yes.
Right?
And I think we need that.
We need that.
We need that.
Yeah.
They also say during a recession, fortunes are made. So it's not all negative, right? If you prepare yourself, doing the steps you said, there's a lot of opportunity.
I mean, don't be afraid. Inflation and recession is a cyclical cycle, right? Like it happens. Every few years, countries go through this.
Yeah.
Federal banks become wiser and companies become wiser on how to manage the situation. Be careful, be cautious is all I'm going to say. Sessions like this, keep yourself informed and make sure that you're aware of what's going on around you.
Going towards the end, one of the questions I have is as an executive, what keeps you up all night during this whole process? I know that's a tough question to ask.
What keeps me up is ensuring that my company has cash flow, right? When interests are high, money becomes tight. Clients hold on to cash, and that's natural. So just making sure that we have good cash flow in the organization. And I would say similarly in your home, make sure that you're not overspending. Make sure you have some cash in the bank, if you can afford it, to save for that rainy day.
Well, thank you, Mom. This was so insightful. There's so many things I learned, and it actually doesn't make me feel as bad. Like I was worried. Should we be worried?
You should be cautious. I wouldn't say worried. I say be cautious.
That's a great way of summing it up. Be cautious, not worried. Because I know a lot of people are freaked out and they can't sleep at night.
No, I think you should just be cautious. Watch your spend, be responsible.
If you have any comments, please comment below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please let me know as well. I'd love to do more videos with her. She's so knowledgeable and insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you.